Hello, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the mums, especially my own. Let's get going. This is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat about everything it is mental health, disability, and life in general. Here, me, Kev Dillon, and my partner in crime, as always, Lee Cadman. And today, if you follow our radio show on Black Country Extra, you'll have heard Dave Stocks before. He's become a very good friend of mine and Lee's, obviously. And he's going to be talking all about suicide prevention. And this week is Worldwide Mental Health Awareness Week. So we're going to be talking about that, Dave's story, and so much more. But as always, I like to start the show with our gratitude list. And we haven't been here for a couple of weeks through family problems and health issues and all this. But I'm grateful. My beautiful daughter was in a West End show. And me, the wife, my daughter, mom, dad, my mother-in-law went to London. And it was fantastic. Just being with my girl, seeing how fantastic she could be. I was also asked to be one of the judges on You've Got Talent in Kings Winford. Shaz and the winner, Mia, are coming onto our radio show this week. And that once again, I mean, I'm all about the boxing and I love young people doing something. And it's great seeing from actors to singers to dancers to beatboxers. And I thought the youth get a lot of slack, but when kids are allowed to be brilliant, they always overachieve. So I thought that was fantastic. Also, I was in Newcastle on the weekend. Me, Josh, one of my best mates, coaches, was with Sammy and his dad, Tom. We didn't get the decision, but Sammy boxed brilliant. And it was great seeing good friends like Woz and Pete from the Priory and Paddy Farrell and so many great people from the Midlands all cheering each other on. Our good friends from Droitwich, so many. It was great. We had the sun out, a couple of bevies, good boxing, good people. So as always, I've got plenty to be grateful for. Lee, what are you grateful for?
I just want to add something. So our show this week with Shaz
and
Mia it's on the 16th and it runs for 4 weeks. So Thursday start the first show, 7:00 till 9. You can get it on DAB now, Black Country Extra on DAB as well as online.
And if you don't catch it there, you can always listen to it from this Thursday on demand.
On demand, yeah. So just a little plug there. Sorry, back to the list.
And if you are listening now and you didn't catch last month's episode, we're with Emily Barney. Emily Barney is a very good friend who does the Brain Spartan Gym from this very studio. And she does it down, she works here. Well, if you want to find more about it, either go to the episode previously on here or on Extra.
Yeah.
So
that's enough plugging in it. Is that enough? What am I grateful? You know what? I'm grateful. I'm looking forward and grateful for this weekend. We've got a unification fight with Usyk and Fury, and it's been a long time coming. I'm just looking forward to sitting down and watching that, to be quite honest. There's a bit of excitement building. It's good it's happening. So yeah, I'm grateful that's happening.
It's been one of them all the way through. I've been thinking, is it, isn't it? And I think we're that close now, unless Tyson Fury's dad gets locked up. I think it might just be happening.
Yeah, but it is. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm grateful that it's happening.
And Dave, what are you grateful for, bruv?
Oh, I'm grateful for all family and friends all around me all the time. Just getting me through those difficult times. And I'm grateful for my mother-in-law, who we call Mater. She's been going through hard times herself, but she's always there to support me, and she deserves a big mention because,
you're after some brownie points. Is she watching?
Yeah, I'm after some brownie points. Yeah. She'll buy me a box of chocolates now. But no, she's always there to support me when I most need it, and she didn't realise how much she means to me. So I'm really grateful for her.
Sometimes, a thank you or acknowledgement is so underrated, isn't it? But it can mean the world just by someone going, thank you, or that it doesn't cost anything, but it can really brighten up your day, can't it?
It can. And also, I'm grateful to our chief exec, Marsha Foster, and also one of our other directors, Cully Cole Wilson, who took their time out to see me personally this week because I was raising some issues regarding suicide prevention, which is what I'll be talking about tonight. And the fact that they've got such busy diaries and made that time, it shows that they're not just figureheads, they're real people, and they are listening. So, I've got to acknowledge that, I'm in a trust where people will listen, and that is important. My voice isn't going unheard, so otherwise I'll send Kevin Lee around with the boxing gloves.
When good like suicide prevention, as we know, before we get into a story, I mean, suicide is one of the biggest killers for under 40s, isn't it? Suicide and prostate cancer, and both are very easily avoidable if they're treated in time. And the problem is they both take an extreme amount of intimacy to get seen to in the first place, isn't it? Being vulnerable in any sense, whether having your prostate checked, as we all know how that's checked, or opening up about your feelings. And I often think I'd love a survey to say, well, which one would you rather have checked? Your feelings or your prostate? And I think it'd probably be prostate. Because the thought of being intimate and being vulnerable is too much for some to bear, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Opening up as a bloke, I think is one of the bravest things. Not now, because I'm used to opening up, but in the past, I'd have rather have had you two guys punch me, because it is such a hard thing to open up. That's to me the ultimate vulnerability. But vulnerability is a strength, a real strength. There's a psychologist, I think she's called Brené Brown. Look up some of her podcasts. She's really good, and she talks about vulnerability a lot and the strength in vulnerability. So actually, as a bloke, look at it. Would you rather go 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, or would you rather open up? And a lot of blokes would actually rather go around 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. So that's a strength. So be proud if you open up. Don't hide it.
It's a shame though, because on the intro here, and they say that men aren't talking, but men are talking, but people aren't listening, and that's how it feels sometimes, isn't it? When you have the courage to open up and people just go, oh, you'll be all right, or pull yourself together. And it is tough, isn't it? And, if you keep knocking on the door and no one answers, eventually you stop blooming knocking. And we need that to be there. If you have finally opened up, whether it's in the services, with an old pal, with someone is to go, all right, then, we're going to do our best together to get you to getting better.
Yeah, that's right. If someone opens up, I've got to watch my words. Listen to them. Nearly said something else then. And, listen to them properly.
Don't hear them, listen to them.
Yeah, it's active listening, and you've got to listen to them properly. Acknowledge what they're saying. Repeat back to them what they're saying. So what I understand is you're saying this. And that gives them validity.
And remember, you're not there to solve the problem either.
You're not there to solve
You're there
the
to
problem.
listen.
You're just there to listen. The very act of listening, it makes someone feel wanted. It makes someone feel heard. It makes someone feel valued. It's so important. Someone feel valued. So many people who are maybe thinking about taking their own lives think the world's better off without them. Someone listening, actually, no, you're a good guy. Really like you. It just makes that person feel valued, and it's so important.
And even acknowledging that you see someone struggling sometimes, because as men, as human beings, but I'll say it as men, we often feel like we're wearing a mask, aren't we? And no one can see what's under it. And when someone sees behind the mask and going, are you all right? Are you sure you're all right? Do you want to chat?
and you don't look yourself, that can make that word thinking, I do exist. I am worth saving. I am worth talking
Someone's
to.
noticed.
Someone's noticed me. And that's the big thing. It's that self-worth, isn't it? I'm not worth saving. The world is better without me. And someone to go, of course you're worth saving.
Of course you are. Of course you are. People don't realise their worth. And people don't realise how much other people care about them.
There's a thing, I can't remember, is the Jordan Thomas had the thing on social media and goes, don't ever underestimate the hole that the world, don't ever underestimate the hole in the world that you would leave if you left it. Something along those lines. I haven't said that perfectly, but that is it. And it's like, you don't realise how much you're loved until you're gone.
No, you don't. And that's why people need to listen. In a blunt analogy, if someone took their own life by shooting themselves, there's a single bullet hole that goes in, but the exit wounds are massive. It's those exit wounds that last and stay there afterwards. And it's all those people that love that person. So I can't remember, I'm useless with figures, but it's something like 90 odd people are affected by one person's suicide. It's probably a lot more than that. I need to revise
the ripple effect of
it's a ripple effect. So there's so many people affected by one person taking their own life. It's that they don't realise how much they are valued. So take that time.
And I think it's at the moment, the stats are, I believe, unless it change, 12 men every day. So 12 men every day, thereabouts, maybe more. And as you said, 90 people around about off one of those people. There's a lot of people sat off those 12. And it could be avoided.
It's easily avoided. It's easily avoided.
Whether the cost of living scandal and crisis has got you, there are places you could talk about finance. If it's abuse, there are people who can help you get through it. If it's a broken marriage, if it's illness, if you talk to the right people, there's something there. We had my boxer on the weekend and he says, Kev, I just don't want to let you down. I put my hand on his shoulder, only a 13-year-old boy, and I went, if people love you, you'll never let them down. And that's how it's got to feel. And that's as after the boxing match. But these things, you're going, we're going to lose the house. Oh, what will the neighbours think? Oh, and you're going, if the people who love you, they love you right, it doesn't matter. It's reminding yourself of that, isn't it?
It is. It's reminding yourself of that. And as you say, there are people that can advise about finances and things. The Citizens Advice Bureau, welfare rights. There's lots of people that can advise. And mental health has moved away from the clinical model where you only look at someone clinically and say, oh, here's an antidepressant, to a more social model where you look at all the factors. So what's really bothering that person at that time? So it could be financial, it could be a relationship issue, it could be work, it could be bullying, it could be cyberbullying, young, old. There's more older people getting affected with the mental health nowadays as well as younger people. You've got to look at the different age ranges.
Do you think that's out of courage of seeing the younger people speak up, that you're now getting more people come forward of an older age because they can see that, well, these kids, for want of a better word, they're able to talk about it. So why aren't I?
Yeah.
Why aren't I taking that step to do it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, and obviously it's a different type of person, so you interact with them in a different way, which they're more comfortable with, and you've not got to leave out any particular age range. It's all the protected characteristics you've got to look at as well. When I say protected characteristics, for those who are listening, there's a thing called the Equality Act, and it's got I don't know, is it 9 protected characteristics? And there's age, sex, gender, religion, disability, and race, etc. Are those protected characteristics? Sexual orientation. So you've got to think about everyone, be inclusive, because everyone is vulnerable. Everyone is vulnerable in some way, and that's the whole problem. In my job as suicide prevention, I can walk down the street and someone will be smiling, but there might be hell going on inside, and you just don't know. You just don't know, and that it's reaching those people. It's finding new ways to reach those people. It's reaching people like through this method, through the podcast tonight. Hopefully, we'll be reaching more people and say, look, it's okay to open up. It's okay to be. It's manly to open up now.
Well, we do our free sessions Monday to Friday. We do the mixed classes 10:30 to 11:30. Women's only 11:30 to 12:30, and a dad's peer support group. And we do a moms and toddlers group now as well on the Thursday and Friday. For more information, please message. But we have blokes. Some have been to jail. Some are young, some are older. Some are dads, some are granddads. Some are, I'm saying we've got like from white British to travellers to Romani travellers to Yemeni to Zimbabwe to Persian to Sri Lankan to Pakistani to Indian, and all these men all together sweating, chatting, and you realise you take the nonsense out of it. People are just people, and because I'm an open book and I'm talking about fatherhood and I'm talking about mental health and panic attacks and scrapping and drinking and laughing and whatever else comes that men talk about, you're hearing everyone talking about it, and they'll say, you have them wobbles, or you feel guilty when you told your baby off, or and you have men who would not even sit by each other on the bus, or they'd cross the road to avoid someone, sitting around and just communicating. And it's the lack of community that we've got, the isolation, and the best friend of any mental health is loneliness.
Yep.
But when you break down the doors and you have, blooming heck, this thing I've been worried about for so long is more common than I ever could have believed, because I'm around people who are going through it themselves.
Yeah, what you do here, Kev, is absolutely amazing, because I'm in a job where I go out into the communities trying to reach all these types of people, the travellers, the Yemeni, all the different types of people you just been mentioning, and it's very, very difficult. You've got a boxing club, they come to you, and they're all mixing. That's what, they wouldn't in the street say boo to a goose to each other, but they're all mixing and learning from each other. And yet it's always a learning curve. You're always learning from each other, and it's amazing when you said about I feel guilty about being angry with my baby or whatever, and someone says, oh, you feel that as well. Well, when I first got admitted to hospital because of my mental health, it wasn't the doctors and nurses that made me a cup of tea. It was fellow patients. Said, Dave, here's a cup of tea. And that was like a life raft to me at that time. Absolute life raft. And when I was there talking to them, I realised, actually, I'm not the only one thinking these things. I'm not the only one having these problems. There's loads of people out there like me. And knowing that, just knowing that helps enormously. Really does.
Well, would you like to get into your story? How you, you've seen it from both sides now, and I think that's wonderful for people out there to listen to. That people, your life hasn't got to end with mental illness. You can go on to do better things and even help people who need your help first-handedly.
Yeah. Well, how long have we got, Kev?
You can go as long as you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I say, my story started when I got admitted to hospital, and I'd had a breakdown. I was in an IT job, and I was like any normal bloke trying to earn a living, doing IT, and I had a breakdown. I got admitted to hospital, and a fellow patient made that cup of tea. The nurses and doctors at that time, they left me alone for about an hour at least. So it was up to the patients to. I was there in the middle of the night, not knowing what to do. My whole world had collapsed. I was lucky to be alive, and so it's the fellow patients that made that difference. So while I was in hospital, I continued writing a book that I'd started previously, and I smuggled in a beat-up old laptop, because we didn't have anything like iPads at that time. I smuggled in this beat-up old laptop, which you technically weren't allowed because of PAT testing and all this jazz. But, and this is one thing I'd always emphasise, be flexible, bend the rules a little bit. The nurses said, you know what, you can have the laptop, but they kept it in the linen cupboard for safekeeping. Well, I was in and out of that linen cupboard day in, day out. My fellow patients thought, Dave, can't help but notice he's spending rather a lot of time in the linen cupboard. I said, yeah. Well, I assured them it's not my fetish for clean linen.
Not this time.
Yeah, that's another story. We haven't got time for that one. I said, I'm keeping a laptop in there. I said, oh yeah. I said, what are you doing with your laptop? I said, I'm writing a book. Oh yeah. And as the weeks went on, I got more and more curious about my book. And I was eventually persuaded to read something out to the rest of the hospital ward. And I deliberately chose a funny chapter. And as you've probably gathered by now, I use humour a lot. And there was nothing more rewarding than having a ward full of depressed patients laughing at something I'd written. And that really spurred me on. It spurred me on to the state where when I completed the book, I completed my stay in the hospital. It was my own therapy, so to speak. So when I left hospital, I had a careers advisor that wasn't quite so good. They're a lot better now because we've got great employment support people in our trust now. It wasn't quite so good at that time. And he asked me, what do you want to do, Dave? And I said, well, I've written this book and quite like to get it published. He said, no chance, mate. No one ever gets a book published. How about a nice little admin job or something? I said, I'd like to. So in those few words, all my recovery in hospital being quashed. Thankfully, I was quite stubborn. So
you have to be like that, don't you? Sometimes?
Yeah, you have to be.
You can't let people's words put you off your dream.
No. So always follow your dreams. I always encourage people to follow their dreams. And that might be partly why. So I sent it off to a publisher. And the first publisher I sent it off to, I got a publishing contract by return post. I then went on to have successful book launch in Nottingham Waterstones, because I was between counties, so I'd moved from Nottingham to the sort of Black Country in between. So I had the launch in Nottingham Waterstones, and also a full-page article about it in the Nottingham Evening Post. So stick to your dreams.
Mm.
And
with dreams, you don't just wake up and they come true.
Yeah.
You have to have resilience and you have to work hard to make
Yeah.
it happen, don't you?
Yeah.
And don't let the thought of failing put you off, because failing doesn't make you a failure, it just makes you more resilient.
Yeah.
It's just another way that it isn't right.
Yeah.
Keep failing until you get it right.
Keep going till you get it right. Yeah. I'm looking to set up a successful photography business, selling my photographs. I'm already commissioned a lot to take photographs, but I want to sell them individually as art. And I keep getting knockbacks, but now I'm just finally breaking through. I've been on the BBC in a big competition with my photographs internationally. They're recognised in galleries. So, I've had lots of knockbacks with it. It's a difficult industry to make it in, but I'm making it.
Mm.
But I want to do that with my current job, because I just so much love my current job as well.
But the thing is, like with photography and poetry and these things, there's many different ways for people to communicate their feelings. And I said I used to write poetry back in the day when I was younger. I had a book published when I was 15. Because at that time, I had feelings, but I couldn't talk about them. So I used to love typing and touch typing and get my words out there. Older I've got now, I'm very open with my emotions, as people know. But it was
Screwed up your poetry career. We've got a podcasting one in front of us, so Kev.
It's a way of communicating. I've got a good friend, Sarah, who I'd love to get her on here one day. And she travels to war, doing war and conflict. And she's saying in the most war-stricken countries, there's murals and there's paintings and there's singers and there's dancers, and they're just trying to communicate their feelings. And no matter if it's writing, arting, public speaking, whatever it is, get it out of you, get it out in some way, and going, this is how I feel, whether it's just a black blob with a squiggle in it, and then you express what that means. And the power of art is phenomenal, isn't it?
It is amazing, the power of art, and that's what I try to do through my photography. I try to express the world as I see it. How I'm feeling at that time, I try and express it in that way. So I see things from literally a different angle. And poetry, I write poetry all the time. And I used to the point, I had psychology sessions, and even the psychology sessions I struggled opening up in. So I used to take poems in. So read that.
Do you think you're getting to that point where you're at the hospital and experiencing all that and dealing with that? That must help you now with resilience anyway, because you think, well, I've already been to the worst. So him there rejecting me for a photo that they don't appreciate, kind of water off a duck's back. It kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse that's happened to me in my life. So why would that bother me as much?
Yeah. I also say, without the darkness, you wouldn't appreciate the light. So if you're not, unfortunately, sometimes if you don't go down that black hole, you don't appreciate how much beauty there is out there as well. And so you made that journey. When you come out of it, you think, hey, I want to stay here. This is nice. Yeah. And you realise, and if I hit a bad patch, now I realise, like you were saying, Lee, I realise actually I've been there before and I came out of it before. So I'll come out of it again. and each time I come out of it a lot quicker. But also I'm also armed with a lot more tools to help me come out of it.
I think we found that, haven't we, on starting the podcast? Really, from then on, that the more you talk about it, and the more you realise, the more you build tools, the more we speak to people who give us ideas of tools to build, the quicker you come out of the dark stages.
But I think that sometimes needs pointing out to you. One of my friends is a mental health nurse in prison, and he has people coming and say, "Oh, I want to kill myself. I've had enough. I'm unsavable. And he said, it used to really get me down. And then his boss says, just ask them what they've done to get them here. You know, what do you mean? And he says, watch. And there's a man, let's call it Dave. He says, I'm going to kill myself. I've had enough. I go, but what have you done today to get you here? You know, well, I've left my cell and got here. I went, no, walk me through what you've done to get you here today. Well, I got up, I got dressed, I made my bed, I brushed my teeth, I got the screw to let me out, to walk me across the yard. And he went, so you've done about 30, 40 things to get you here? And you say, there's nothing you could do to say, you're doing more than you know to help yourself. You've had to do all those 30 things to get you here today. So there's a part of you that knows you want to be saved and you can be saved. But sometimes that simple act needs pointing out to us.
It does. And also, what maybe seem like a simple thing is a major victory to people. You know, if they can get themselves out of bed and make a cup of tea, that's a victory. That's a victory. You know, and also listen to your body. And if your body's saying, no, I'm not going to do anything, I can't do anything today, that's okay too. It's okay. It's okay not to have a good day. It's okay to just stay in bed or relax. But try when you can to then break that habit, but only small. I always say do things in baby steps. When you're struggling, when you're really down, if you try too much, it's overwhelming, totally overwhelming. So it's just got to be baby steps, those little baby steps.
And I think feel the feeling, don't drown in it.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to feel, I'm dead in the dumps here. I haven't got to be happy because I'm being sad. Yeah. But allow that feeling to be there. If you need a day or two in bed, whatever. But then, as you say, minor steps. It's like when people go, I'm happy all the time. No one's happy all the time. And no one's angry all the time. There are emotions that we feel. You should be happy. You should be sad. You should have many different thoughts with each day. Some are nasty thoughts. Some are great thoughts. Some are downright weird thoughts.
Those are mine.
But our minds are constantly moving, and there's having suicidal thoughts, and there's being suicidal, isn't there? And there's knowing that difference as well. Just thinking, well, would the world be better off without me? And then you go, no, you know what I have. It's building that out of it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And allowing yourself to go, no, that is just a passing thought. And allow that to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's allowing that. It's accepting it. It's not bad. You have these thoughts. It's not bad. It's allowing them, acknowledging them. By acknowledging it, that you're actually feeling bad, that's okay. It's trying to push it away and pretend you're not. It's not okay. Trying to hide it is not okay. We all go around with masks. We all wear masks every day. How are you, Lee and Kev?
I'm all right.
I'm good.
Okay. How are you really?
Some days better than others.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good today.
That's good. But you get the honest answer if I follow it up. And I'm pleased you're good today.
I think there's a balance in that as well, though, because we had is it radio? Can't even remember. We had who was he? He's gone, but it might have been on a call actually. Might have been on a call I was doing about mental health, and there was a lady on there who was speaking to her daughter who was struggling with mental health, and her daughter went mad at her because she kept asking that question. How are you? Are you sure you're all right? How are you? Sure, you're all right.
Yeah,
To the point that it was too much.
Yeah, if you're doing it too much, I'm just saying, just that once.
Don't badger people.
Don't badger people. It drives
And
me.
it was done out of worry. It wasn't done out of malice, but it's
Yeah,
you can
I know,
imagine.
But it does, it bothers me.
Yeah.
That people keep repeating things to me. It's one of my pet hates. So, yeah, don't take it to the extreme.
It's allow people to know.
Just allow people to know that you are genuinely interested by following up. Because how are you? It's just
throwaway, isn't it?
It's a throwaway gesture. But how are you really shows that you're actually genuinely interested.
What the Brits we're known for. You're right, mate. Yeah, sound.
Yeah.
How are you? All right. It's almost hello. Abroad, you do it like hola. It's not. We're not saying how are you. All right, mate.
You're not even waiting for the answer, really, because you already know the answer.
You're exchanging all right, mate, for hello.
Yeah.
It's a greetings instead of you're right, mate. No.
But I think there's also a time and a
mate?
place. Yeah, there's also a time and a place to actually do that, because if you are standing in the street or walking past someone, maybe that's not the time and the place.
Yeah,
and you don't matter how many times you ask it at that point. You're in the middle of the street. There's a chance they're not going to open up to you.
Yeah,
you've got to be in that comfortable environment.
I'm in a 256 and someone will
That works both ways. We've had taxi drivers on this podcast because Kev's talked to them.
We have, honestly.
Yeah.
But honestly, but sometimes, downstairs at the club or in the pub or in a taxi, and if someone, you go, you're right, man, you go, oh, you're Kev from Back Street Blokes. No, actually. Then, sometimes it is inconvenient. But you figure, I'd much rather the inconvenience of you interrupting my nice on the lash or my Sunday dinner than have to inconvenience myself by buying a suit and go to your funeral. So I'd rather be there for them inconvenience times and actually show that I do care. And sometimes that moment when someone has gone, you know what, now is the time I'm going to talk. You can't go, mate, 5 o'clock.
You're on the clock.
And that's the odd thing, isn't it? Especially just being 2 average day Joes who ain't getting paid for it.
But that's also what we've opened ourselves up for, in a sense. Well, maybe not expected at the start of this, but it is.
Well, we were saying
what happens.
Me and an old pal, we were on about maybe starting another group up here. Put the feelers out now for hearing voices, because we did our support group, men's support group, but we're thinking of doing a hearing voices group. So it is something, if anyone is interested, maybe message, and maybe thinking of doing it maybe for once a month up the club. But mate, you've said, Dave, like maybe with something you'd be thinking about helping out with as well.
Yeah, I'd love to help out with that. I once saw a lecture by someone called Ron Coleman, who, like me, been through the lived experience and then went on to sort of be a practitioner himself, and he ran a ward, and he's done an awful lot on hearing voices, and I learned a lot from that. And I have heard voices in the past myself, so it's something that I would love to help with, and it's really difficult to talk about. So
I can imagine that's a kind of subject that's difficult to talk about with anyone who hasn't heard voices.
That's why
you probably get the "you're crazy," that attitude.
Yeah. But I am crazy, but everyone knows that. But the hearing voices is a tricky one. But if you're in a group of people that all are experiencing themselves, it really helps.
And you'd hope that those people are more willing to open up then as well, because they realise everyone sitting there has been in that situation as well, or is in that situation.
Yeah, that's right.
I haven't, but I'd be there to mediate with people I know who have gone through it, or who maybe haven't got the confidence to run the group themselves. So I'd just be there to mediate it.
That's right. So I would definitely help out with that. As long as you still promise not to put me in the ring and get
promise that. but like with hearing voices, I know it's a personal question. This is so. Time to clear off if you want. What's the difference between? I've had a few of my friends explain it to me, but let's see if you can explain it. the difference between your own monologue to hearing voices.
It's just, it's like they're not yourself. And to me, I actually described it in my book. It was like having demons on my shoulder, and they're all whispering nasty things into my ears. So it was all very negative. I don't know how common that is with other people, but I think in general it's negative. So it was all negative, and it was all saying you're useless and you're not worthy and all that. And it was like having those demons on my shoulder talking into me. So it can be quite a scary place to go. Yeah.
He said as well he'd literally hear my voice saying horrible things. And he goes, I know, Kev, it's not you, but I can hear you saying the most horrible things about me. And that's what I want people to understand. It's like, look, I talk to myself all the time. I've always got, just rabbiting on, but I know it's me that's talking and not him.
Yeah, that's the difference. Mainly when people hear voices, they don't know where those voices are coming from. So it's not internal dialogue. It feels like
someone's actually talking to you.
Yeah, that's right. It's a weird sensation, and usually you actually believe that that's the case, which is it's really difficult. So it's something that people really struggle with, but I've overcome it. You can overcome it. I'm not promising everyone can, but at least even if you can't, then there's people that will share that experience with you and you understand you, and that is so important.
Because when we were doing our support group next door, this is why I want to pursue it. It's been a few years now since we did our support group for COVID, and out of how many people? We had 4 people in a group of strangers who all admitted to one another that they had heard voices and I thought, this is so much more common than I ever believed, that these 4 individual people in a group of, I don't know, range from 10 to 15 to just 4 random people openly admitted they could hear voices. And I went, wow, these are just 4 people who've walked in from the street.
Yeah.
But they helped each other so much.
It is a lot more common. That's the trouble. We've got statistics, but all those statistics are actually a lot higher because so many people don't mention it. So many people don't mention it, and it's keeping that closed in.
I think that's mental health in general. The statistics are always underplayed because people won't admit to poor mental health.
Yeah, it certainly is. In fact, I was disability as well. I was in a meeting this morning looking at the statistics of disabled people in our trust, and we've actually done well. We've got more declarations there, but a few years ago there was hardly anyone declaring it because people are attaching shame or stigma to it, and there isn't shame or stigma. Some of the most brilliant minds and brilliant people throughout history are what would now be considered to have mental health problems, and it's not actually a problem. It's a problem if you make it a problem. It's something you can live with, but you can also benefit from, because I find a lot of creative people are supposedly labelled with mental health. I'm certainly very, very creative, too creative sometimes. And it's like you got a good and a bad side to it, but it's not all bad. It's not all bad. And at the end of the day, you're a human being just like anyone else. you may just, it's just that you got stuff going on in your head, perhaps more than other people at that time.
One of the greatest lessons I ever learned, because I lost my vision at 3, and it always felt different, and I never thought any woman would ever love me, and I wasn't going to be this. I was broken and had mental health problems, and And the greatest lesson I ever learned is, whether you're as good looking as Anthony Joshua, as rich as Richard Branson, everyone's broken. And it's the things they don't always want to talk about. It's like, oh, my bum looks big, or I've got a stutter, or I can't read well, or I'm that wealthy, I haven't got any friends, or I'm that good looking, all people want me for is my body. And you chip anyone down, no matter on the surface, they're broken in some way. And when you can admit your flaws and allow it not to ruin your life, you become more powerful. When you can actually go, you know, I lost my eyesight, or I struggle with anxiety, or whatever it is, you embrace your weakness and you make it into a power. But that comes with strength and experience, because I couldn't have done this as a teenager. It took me to be a man to find myself and admit my flaws and go, all right, these are my flaws. Now I can either accept my flaws and give up to my flaws, or I can work around my flaws. That'll be my flaw in one thing, but I'll be stronger in another.
Yeah, and that's right. It's admitting the flaws and admitting the imperfections. Anyone who says they're perfect is downright lying, because no one's perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. And if you're trying to get to perfection, you're always going to fail. So, you know, flawed is good. Flawed is good, and admitting you're flawed is very good. Since I started opening up about all my flaws, and we haven't got long enough on this show tonight to go through all those, but I feel so much happier inside, so much happier. At work, people know what they're getting is the authentic me now. And I wrote a poem called Authentic Self. And what they're getting is 100% me. And if they don't like it, I'm not deliberately being rude to anyone, but if they don't like it, not my problem. I'm me, and I'm happy with me, flaws and all. So just try and be authentic. Don't hide behind a mask, because that's what so many people do day in, day out. They hide behind this mask. This is how I want to appear. It's not who they really are.
But it takes age and experience, doesn't it, to realise who you are, because often who I am, what I am as a child, is different because what I want to do to fit in. So I'll listen to music I don't like. I won't ask girls what I fancy. I won't do this because until you become to yourself thinking, well, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be average. I want to be extraordinary. I want to be happy. But that comes with growth, because, you know, I don't want to listen to this. I've never liked this music. But as a child as well, yeah, it's cool. And that's people just want to fit in. And we do that through childhood, teenage years, adulthood, to our working life. And quite frankly, if you like Star Trek, if you like playing dominoes, if you like boxing or abseiling, or find a tribe that like it. And sometimes the best thing you do is do it on your own. Go and find something and go, you know what, guys, I'm going to have to love and leave you. We're all mates here, but I'm going to go and play Tiddlywinks, because that makes me happy, because we've got one crack at the whip. You know what I mean? So the only things that are forever are your family, are your children. Everything else you can try, dislike, try, love it for a bit, then hate it next week. But that's the beauty of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Having a go at it.
Having a go at it, find out what you like.
What you dislike.
And what you dislike. But I'm a very visual person. And you've just gone through a whole load of categories there. Star Trek, abseiling, dominoes, tiddlywinks. I'm trying to conjure up all those into one image. I'm abseiling down.
Kev's done them all at once.
I'll introduce you to Tim. He's quite a guy. But no matter what it is, and once again, don't be frightened of failing. Fail often. You know what I mean? Fail often, and then you realise, well, maybe I'm not the next champion.
Mm.
But I had a go, or maybe I'm terrible at it.
Don't matter even if you have a go. Just did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm bloody terrible.
Yeah.
I want to be a singer. That doesn't mean you've got to sell 1,000 albums. Go and sing down your local boozer or sing in the shower, or just find what you enjoy and pursue it.
I won't sing because it's rained enough recently. Yeah.
But like with your suicide prevention, what's the best way of getting in touch with you guys? Is it through Crisis? Is it through the doctors?
Well, there's a website. You can go through our website, and there's a lot of crisis details within the actual website. And you can also email us chappies. Now I've got to remember our central email addresses, so I'm going to have to look it up. Just one moment. And you can email to our central email address, but probably I'm okay with people emailing me directly. And if I get a lot of nasty emails, they'll go into spam. But so you can email david.stocks1@nhs.net, and I can signpost you to the right direction. But there's a 24/7 helpline number as well.
Yeah, we share that often on our thing. We've not shared that the number again.
Yeah, and that's 0800 008 6516, and they're kind of like a one-stop shop, and I've always liked that. So you call that, whatever your problem, you're struggling, 24/7, and they will take your details and transfer you to the relevant people who could most help. And this is where you were saying, Kev, it might not be someone that can help. It's about mental health. It might be about financial problems or relationship problems, but you'll get signposted in the right direction through the 24/7 helpline. Eventually that's going to change to 111, so I believe. So if that helpline doesn't work, although I think it'll work for a good while yet, if it doesn't work, phone 111, and I believe it'll be option 2, but it'll be made clear if you phone 111, and they will do the same thing, transfer you through to the relevant lines.
Well, I said that phrase, like, I've got 999, 111, but I thought like 222 or something like that. I thought you meant it off saying, because we've had it with Crisis, and he's going to kill himself. Well, where's he from? I'm not really sure. Where is he from? I think he's from Stairbridge. Oh, well, that's not our number. You got to phone the words, like, or he's not from. And you're thinking, well,
yeah, we ended up making about 5 phone calls to different places, didn't we? Once,
and it was terrible.
Which I think was all right for us because we were doing it on behalf of someone else. But imagine picking up the phone and having you being in crisis, phoning a crisis number, they're going, well, you've gone to the wrong number. So having that transfer to the correct place is vital. Because you know what, that person might not pick up the phone again.
That's
right. And also there is a text version, so you can actually text them as well. I'm not sure if I can find that number. Hold on.
But it's great having these numbers available. But what we need to do, what we've tried to do over the years, is give a place to actually see where the number is, because there's so much good out there. But we need this being advertised on Black Country Extra. We need this on Black Country Radio. We need this on blooming.
You need to know where to call them.
ITV Central. We need these things. So if you need it, this is the number in your area.
Yeah, and that's why it's so powerful having a 24/7. You don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah.
You just ring that number and they'll sort you. Because there's the sanctuary hubs. We've talked about those before. There's one in Dudley, one in Sandwell, one in Walsall, and one in Wolverhampton. If you, they're open 6 to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 12 to 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So they're kind of like an out of hours physical crisis place that you can go to. And you can sort of make appointments to go to them through the 24/7 line. And the actual physical locations you can go to and talk to people. And they're great. They really are great. So it does what it says in the tin. It's a sanctuary when you're in crisis. So, yeah.
So, Dave, is there anything else you've got coming up before we go?
Well, I got a poetry group. That's I haven't got any dates for it as of yet. But what I'll do is I'll let you guys know so you can promote it on your channel. So we've got a poetry group coming up. We've just had an art and photography competition. It's just finished, but the winners will be announced very, very soon. And what we're hoping to do is get that art and photography from the competition spread up on our trust hospital walls, etc. And the subject of it, it was hope.
Yeah.
To give people hope. So that was a little idea between me and Kate Pritchard from our comms team. So we set up that competition, and some absolutely cracking poems and photos. So you'll be starting to see those around the Black Country, getting that message of hope out there.
That was lovely saying. Never deny a man of hope. Because, you know, when you lose hope, when you lose that will, that is when the world's bleak. The thought of it never getting better is a terrible thought, isn't it?
It is.
So you've always got to have hope. And hope's like a flame. You know, like it's got to be, it never dies. It just minimalizes. Even if it's got the smallest ember of a fire, it can catch the biggest fire.
Yeah.
So you've just got to keep that tiny bit of ember alive within you, and that little bit of hope. Blow on it, and bump, it's back alive again.
Yeah.
It doesn't die, it just hibernates sometimes.
It's just sometimes hard to find.
It is.
And it's sometimes it needs someone to help you find it.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. It's always there, though. It's always there, no matter how bleak it looks. And I've been down that bottomless black pit, and when I get to the bottom, I find it goes a whole lot lower still. But it's still there in that pit. And you can see that little spark of hope. And sometimes it just needs someone to help point out that hope, and it'll come alive again. But just remember, it is always there, no matter how bleak it is. So cling on to that hope, and believe in it, and believe in yourself.
Yeah. Well, Dave, before we go into your quote, I was saying, next week we've got Sarah coming on, I believe, who's a psychologist. So she's going to be coming on discussing everything. Oh, is it Sarah? Oh, I might have got that wrong. Well, if it is
someone
Sarah,
will be on next
someone
week.
will be on.
We're good at this, we can.
No,
This advertising.
It's because we've had a couple of weeks off, and it's blown my mind out sticking to my calendar. But Dave, have you got any quotes or sayings that have helped you get on in life?
Quotes or sayings? I'm just trying to think. I do a lot of quotes and sayings myself.
Or one of your poems, or
Yeah. So I've written a poem recently. Let me just find it. Hold on. If you give me a quick moment.
why Dave's just trying to
I'm going to
find
find that date. See who's on next week, Kev. So, Kev, entertain everyone while we look at the phones.
Yeah, while we look at our phones.
Well, you know, just away now.
We're totally organised here.
Let's say once again, those dates of our club. You know, we did a mixed class, Monday to Friday, 10:30 to 11:30. That's for men and women. Then we've got our females only, 11:30 to 12:30. And then on a Thursday and a Friday, 11:30 to 12:30, do our moms and toddlers group where you're allowed to bring your child. They'll play in the ring with normally my mom who's looking after all the kids and the toys while moms are training. Then we do our dad's peer support group, which is 12:30 to 1:30, Monday to Friday, where dads come and train for a boxing train, to strength and condition train. But we talk about being a dad. And, I'm on the playground with my own kid, and we'll talk about football and boxing and drinking, but we don't often open up about the important stuff, about the things we're struggling with, the fears that we have, the dreams that we have, and sometimes just how difficult but rewarding it is to be a dad. And that's what we're trying to use boxing and what the Lions have always done and incorporating now what we do with the Black Country Blokes. So if you're interested about any of the classes or you know someone who is interested, please get in touch.
Kerry.
Who we got?
Kerry.
Oh, Kerry. We've got Kerry coming on, who is hearing impaired. She was the Black Country Women's Aid Woman of the Year, and she does her own martial arts. She runs martial arts classes, so I'm really looking forward to getting Kerry on. We met when I was doing the fire walking, and she was doing all the photography and videoing, and we talked, and what a great woman. It's taken over a year to get her on, but we finally got her on. Dave, you got your poem?
I've got my poem. I'm afraid I'm going to finish with one of my dodgy poems. And this one, because I was only diagnosed autistic a couple of years ago, I've been on a sort of campaign to raise awareness about autism, and particularly mental health, because unfortunately the suicide rate for autistic people is way higher. It's like 9 times more higher. So I'm raising awareness about autism, and I'll be doing a lot more work on autism and mental health and suicide prevention.
Because before we go to your poem on that, Dave, because I've got someone, a very good friend of mine, who's got an autistic son, and they've tried to say it out loud a few times. What kind of advice would you give to, he's a young adult at the moment, the person is. What would you give advice either to the person with autism or to the family of them?
Again, it's just to be themselves, be their authentic selves. So they're autistic, say what they need, but people believe what they need as well. Because an autistic person will say it how it is, and they believe everything they say is true, and they believe everyone should know that. So if they're not listened to, that's when the pressure gets on. But also have the right environment. Often lighting and loud noises can be really difficult. Crowds of people can be really difficult. So make sure the environment's right. One of the things I've been talking about, as I mentioned, I was talking to Chief Exec earlier this week, Marsha Foster. I was saying, getting people seen in the community rather than forcing them to come into hospitals where they're uncomfortable.
Yes.
So, just say, can you see my son at home or more locally? Yeah. So make sure those right environments are. So just be explicit about what's right.
I think with autism, there's a perception that people with autism want to adjust to the world we're in, whereas actually it's the other way around. We need to adjust to the way they deal with life.
That's right. You need to adjust to how an autistic person, because an autistic person is not going to fit in. That as soon as you start fitting in, that's when you start wearing that mask, and that's where they start doing serious damage. So take that mask off, be yourself, and make the environment for that autistic person to be able to be themselves. But often they need space as well. Give them that space. If they need space, they need it. They need that time alone, time, quiet time. So it's getting, it's listening to and it's a spectrum, the autistic spectrum. So everyone is different on the autistic spectrum. So I can say what would suit me, but it won't suit another autistic person.
But don't you find that when we said that the spectrum of autism, everyone's different, but everyone is different, isn't we?
Yeah.
Like from brother to brother to sister, you come from the same lines, but what works with one doesn't work with the other.
Yeah.
That's called being a human being again, isn't it?
It's just a human being.
I think the fundamental difference is us. We don't have a hard time changing us to fit in with the world around us, whereas autism, they have a hard time trying to fit into the world that's not.
Yeah.
That they don't understand, I suppose.
So
we are all different. We just can.
Yeah. It's just the way you process things is different, and there's much more emotion attached to things. And say autistic people can't feel empathy. From the people I've met, it's the total opposite. And you get sensory overload, and I get empathy overload. I feel everything everyone else feels, and it's really, really hard. It can be really painful. So there's so much to learn and understand about autism. And you say you're seeing one autistic person, the saying goes, you're seeing one autistic person. That's it. Because everyone is different.
And that's wonderful. We've got people like yourself with autism who've got through, but haven't let them weigh them down. They've gone on to things. But we need other people with autism or carers people with autism who can speak on behalf of it, like with everything, mental health, disability. We need the people who've been there themselves to talk about it, don't we? It's great them going, well, I've studied autism, or I've studied visual impairment, or I've studied Tourette syndrome, so this is how it's going to be. We'll go, have you ever lived with it?
Yeah, that's
Or you being the dad, the disabled person, or the person, and you go, well, who's better to talk to? Why are you talking about something that's good on paper? How about we talk to the people?
That's right, and that's what we call co-production, and that's what I encourage within our trust, and the trust does follow it a lot. And co-production is working with the people that actually live with that experience, and genuinely, not just a tick box. Oh, we've asked them. You generally do what they came back to you with. So that's what co-production is.
I might have someone to introduce you to, Dave. Obviously not on air, but I've been talking about this. Someone's ringing in my ear, and I'm thinking, I think I can get you someone good for that.
That'll be good. We'll talk afterwards. Yeah.
So let's get to this poem then.
We've had the build-up now.
All dying to hear it.
I think you'll like the title, Kev. This one's made for you. It's Autism, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. A strange guy from out of town, don't look you in the eye, just stares down. He takes a path not known to others, while they laugh in their band of brothers. Not wanted, dead or alive, not counted as one of the tribe, a misfit, seldom seen, in a pit of lost esteem. What's the fate of this deviation? A brand new template for creation. As an outlaw, unknown to all. He's the quickest draw, for art's his call. He's the nail in normality's coffin, escaping the jail that everyone's locked in. Can't be restrained by other folks' rules, armed and trained with imagination's tools. It's showdown, he's there for the taking. With a solemn frown, its history is making. In the end, he stuck to his guns and didn't bend to those low-down bums. When he left town, all asunder, it's then the clowns learned of their blunder. For things had changed from that dreary old place by a person estranged without a face.
Is that how you felt sometimes?
Yeah. So you kind of like the outlaw, but you're not wanted. Yeah. And it just seemed fitting that he made it into an outlaw. I'm sorry, but I didn't bring my cowboy outfit.
Don't worry, darling, I've got one right here. But it's horrible feeling that outlaw, and that's how it must feel, like feeling I am this shadow.
Yeah, this outlaw that no one wants. You don't fit. You just drift on the outskirts of
The classroom,
the
classroom.
office. Yeah, the office. Yeah.
You know, wherever it is,
you never fit. School was the hardest for me. I just never fit at school, and I always struggled to fit at work. As I say, now work has to fit around me, or it's tough. But yeah, it's I'm in a lucky position where we have a good equality within our workplace. So I'm in a lucky position. But those who aren't, it's much more difficult. So yeah, it's that feeling of never fitting, always being the outsider looking in. And if you want to be inside, then you have to wear that mask, which isn't you. It's someone else, but it's not you. And that's where it falls apart, because you're trying to be something you're not.
Well, I hope today's helped a lot of people. And obviously, this is Mental Health Awareness Week, but you know, it's not just 1 week, because it's 24/7, all the time for people. So if you know someone is struggling, I want to leave the show today. And as always, the same thing we're doing for 5 years. If you know someone is struggling, go and reach out, go and knock on the door, go and put on a brew, and see if they're all right. And it's not up to you to fix the problem. It never is up to you to fix the problem, but you might be the start of the solution that gets that problem seen and done. If you need any advice, as always, please get in touch with us, and we'll try and put you in the right place. Life's worth living, guys. Let's go and live it. Thank you, Dave, for coming on, and we'll see you all soon. On your to take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.